we're moving through. We had a yellow run warblers coming up, and so it's just been a turnover. Should be seeing some other things. What have you been seeing out there? Anything you'd like to share? The cons, I heard about that. And then that was at Martin Lake, Greenbelt Lake. Maybe there might be a new bird for there. We met with our Audubon volunteers, met with the city parks. They're doing phase 2 of a REAP grant that we got. And we helped them, our Audubon chapter, to get the first round, $250,000 grant to do things on the park, including the prairie. And, so this will be 2. They were talking about signage, or I'm glad you brought that up. Write that down, forgot. What we would like to do with Audubon, we're going to have a kiosk with rules and things for the park, and fishing rules and things on the back side would be for us, or habitat, what you could look for birds, what types of things you might find out there. There's 180 some species of birds that have been recorded out there already. And then some places throughout the park for individual signs for, like, here's owls you might see, maybe the woodpecker. If you have a thought about, if you were out, you will want to see a sign that informative for you, maybe with a QR code or something where you could look up a website or so. What would you like to see? Would you like to hear food? So do you have ideas about that? See me. Or Greg. Or Al. Right. So, well, anything else for the good of the group? Yeah. Donate. We sure do. Thank you. Well, we are blessed tonight by John McCormick. I may have seen some of his photos around. A lot of them. Yeah. They need to get in the fan club. He's been around the world and has been taking some really wonderful photographs. And we agreed we have a silent auction going, but next month we have a lot of good photographers. John is one of the best. It's really great photographers and nature photographers. Next month during potluck, if you have an item or two maybe hanging on the wall, or a nice print that you have, or some prints you would like to share, bring them to our meeting and we'll put them on display that you can look at, and they'll tell a story maybe with what your photo is, and that'd be just a nice way to share what everybody's been seeing, what you've been doing. Nature photography can be almost like call it a sport, but it's a really great hobby. You know, a lot of people do that with phones or big lens cameras, and John is one of the best. He's really got into birds and travel, and his wife Naomi, and so John, I didn't realize this. He's a retired computer scientist and geologist. His photographs have been exhibited in Westward Village, California Art Festival, Clinton County, New York Council for the Arctic. And he's done a lot of really wonderful things. He's an award winner at Hawkeye Community College. You know, right now that's about all I want to say, because I know you're anxious to see some film going. So, John,
all right.
Anyway, we'll get you hooked up here with a microphone.
Okay, let me see if I can get Zoom working here. Share screen. That got turned off. All right, we'll see if it turns on.
full screen.
Here we go. Can you hear me? Okay, is it working?
Yeah.
All right. Nice. See, that's full screens it's gonna be. What if I get rid of the people here on the view here? See if I can. Like, how to get rid of that bar? All right. And looks like we got it. Technology. Yeah, being a former professor of computer science, I think people think I know how to work this. My area was real-time embedded systems. Computers that are in things I particularly worked on safety critical systems like aircraft control, medical devices, things where you make a mistake in the program, people die. That's not true with Windows. I've sat in the audience here quite a few times. And I've never thought that I'd be up in front of you guys, but I'm here. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a real honor. We're going to take a quick tour of 3 continents here tonight. We've got a lot of pictures. We'll see if we can get through. If not, that's fine too. But if you have any comments or questions while we're going on, stop me then, because it'll be easier than finding that image later on. We can go. So we're going to start off here. You know the title of my talk. Everybody know where we're starting? Starts with a New Zealand. New Zealand. Here we're in the village of New Plymouth on the South Island. The North Island. We're on the south end of the North Island. And New Zealand's a pretty dark place. Really nice for that. And I walked out of that little house where we stayed in this. This is a renovated farmhouse, about 100-year-old farmhouse we stayed in. And I walked outside at night and I saw the Milky Way. And I had never photographed the Milky Way in my life before. So I started taking all kinds of pictures and settings and ended up with this guy here, which I was pretty happy. The core of the Milky Way is just below the horizon here. This is what got me into astrophotography, was this first picture. And I was pretty lucky. The skies were clear. The next morning, however, the clouds moved in. Here's the sunrise the next morning. It was just gorgeous. It looked like the sky was on fire. From there, we went to a small island off of the South Island, an island called Kapita Island, and it was deeded back to the Maori people. They have managed it as a wildlife area, and they trapped and destroyed all of the non-native animals, ones that really do the birds in. They got rid of the rats, possums, and it's not our possum. And also the stoats. Birds are free to. Well, so the first bird we're going to look at here is the North Island robin. There's a South Island robin also, and the only thing I can see different between them is that not that white spot. These guys, when walking down the trail, they always be curious and come and usually on the ground come up and look at you. So I got plenty of opportunities to see the North Island robin. A lot of the birds in New Zealand, the names were taken from the Maori language. This is a kaka. And this parrot is a really cheeky bird. Our host is a fairly primitive. We stepped in lean-tos that were a good 200 feet from the bathrooms and so on. But he had us out for some wine, cheese, and crackers. And this character knew about the afternoon. And so our host was defending with a squirt gun. And this bird, in order to outdo the host, lands on Naomi's shoulder. And everybody's going, oh. And of course, he leaps immediately off of that and grabs a big chunk of cheese and flies off. We heard lots of stories about. This is a red-crowned parakeet, also on the Kapiti Island. There's a bird finding some old seeds there. Another Mount Maori name. This is a weka. Round. See a lot of those. We saw our first kiwi bird here also on nighttime. They're only at night, very dark. Camera's not capable of recording it. So I don't have any kiwi pictures, just kiwi memories. Now we've moved to we took the ferry across from the North Island to the South Island. We came across this seal pupping area where the fur seals come in to have their pups. And the reason they come here is that there's large tide pools which are inaccessible from the ocean. So the pups learn how to swim here without danger of killer whales who are swimming back and forth up shore of here, and big sharks. You can see them out there waiting for the young ones to come out. There's also a freshwater stream that they go up and they play in the pools and go down these waterfalls. But unfortunately, it was closed when we were there, so we didn't get to go up the stream. Here's a couple of pups that just came out of the swim here, heading back, pushing the others. They get going there. They were really cute. I spent a lot. If I had to film, I would have spent a lot of money. Digital. Related. This is not a fursuit. This is a sea lion, and we are now on an island called Stewart Island, which is south of the South Island. So this is as close as we got to Antarctica during our trip. We could probably figure out if we had some cash that we could sell this guy some teeth whitening. These are fairly dangerous during the breeding season. When we were looking for kiwis on this island, we would come out of the bush and onto the beach. We'd go along the shore of the beach, but our guide would always leave us in the bush while he investigated, make sure there weren't any sea lions there to attack you. They're pretty aggressive. Anybody recognize this bird? Albatross. This is a white-capped albatross. They have a wingspan of about 8 feet. And we were on a bird tour on a boat. There was 4 of us, two crew, and they brought some buckets of chum. As soon as they opened those up, boy, the albatross has come running. I guess they know what. I love them. They come landing next to the boat there. It looks like water skiing. And you notice that we go back here. You can see go back. They have like an elbow joint in their wing. Not quicker.
You got a message on your screen.
It says, GM Francis Moore has requested remote control of your screen. Should we have approved?
Sure. First, Francis. Yeah. Okay. My remote stopped working, so I'm gonna have may have my assistant here. Yeah, so. Page up.
All right.
We'll go page up. I want to show. It's okay.
Page up.
Now. Okay, you can see the joint in their wings there. And if you go down the next one, Naomi. And there it is. Yep.
Oops, sorry.
All right,
I got trigger happy.
okay, one more. All right, we're going to switch continents now. Oh, to South America. This is a picture of the Milky Way. I've gotten better at Milky Way pictures. This was taken near Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world. This is taken around 12,500 feet altitude. The sky was clear as anything. There were so many stars that when I processed on the computer, I removed about a quarter of it because it was just all kind of white. It didn't look very nice. Incredible. This was taken with about a 24mm lens, like that kind of stuff.
Time of the year.
What time of year? This was August. August. Oh, it's working.
Okay,
This is another picture taken with a 15 mm lens. The core of the Milky Way is up here at the top. I'm used to seeing the core right near the horizon. When you're near the equator, it's way up there, and I barely could get just a little bit of the ground. I like to get a picture of the ground with the Milky Way, but to get the whole core in, I just barely made it with 15 mm lens here. I should point out here, we stopped at a planetarium specialized in Inca astronomy, and we learned there that they had constellations just like we have constellations. Our constellations are made by connecting the dots of stars. You always see some stick figure, and then I can never see the bear or the bull or any of that stuff in it. You have to know that. The Inca didn't connect the dots. They looked at the black parts of the Milky Way, and they saw images in there. For example, you might see Llama there. So all of their constellations are the dark parts of the sky rather than the stars. I thought that was pretty cool. We're now, so we come down in altitude a bit, 12,500. We're at sea level here now. We're on the northern coast of Peru, near a town of Chiclayo. And we were going to see some archaeological sites of pre-Incan cultures. And our guide, it was Naomi and I, a guide and a driver, and our guide turned out to be a birder. And he said, wow, let's take the long way to the road. I'm going to take you through an equatorial dry forest, and we're going to find some birds. And we did indeed find some birds. I really have, you recognize this guy, I'll bet. Around here, burrowing owl. Now, the pre-Incas and the Incas revered the burrowing owl. The reason that they revered the burrowing owl was that it could live in their three worlds. Right now, it's in the world of man. It's on the surface of the earth, where we inhabit. The owl, of course, can fly, enter the world of the gods. Finally, this owl burrowed. It could enter the world of the dead. Those were the three Inca and pre-Inca worlds, so they thought this was an amazing creature to be able to live in all three of these realms. Now, this is one of my favorites in the dry equatorial forest. It's called a banana quint. It's about the size of a chickadee and is just as fast. You try to get these guys to stand still to get their picture taken. It's pretty hard. I threw a lot of banana quint pictures away. Maybe they weren't banana quint pictures because they weren't in the picture. I really love these little guys. This is a pale-legged horneo, and it is bigger than a blue jay, but smaller than a crow. Large beak. And this is a scarlet-backed woodpecker. Not very scarlet, is it? The reason is that the scarlet color comes from iridescence and not pigment, and this woodpecker would not pose in the sun. Again, when I saw it fly, and I thought this thing's a flash, it's really a brilliant red. It reminds me of a ruby-throated hummingbird. But now we have a bird that is red. This is a vermilion flycatcher. And if you look closely, it looks like he has a vermilion fly in his beak. He would this is a white-edged, but you can guess, Oriole. Yeah, that's very Oh. insects, flops them into the water. And then the fish come, get the insect, and the heron gets the fish. You get it. Oh, it's not working now. I have to go.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's on.
I think it-
Wasn't there without it? Striated heron. Right. These are silver-beaked,
Tanagers.
tanagers, there, silver-beaked tanagers. We first met this at our room. Now, this was taken from the room we were staying at, this eco lodge. The rooms here were very interesting. They had 3 walls and a roof. Fourth wall was open to the jungle, so you could enjoy the sights. Of course, that invited lots of visitors. And the first time I saw these two, they came flying through the open room and out the open window on the other side, just right over us. What was that? What was that? We had other less thrilling guests in the room. They had a safe in the room. On our orientation, the safe is not for money. If you have any food, put it in the safe. So we put our chocolate bars, ruby chocolate bars.
The next one?
Ah.
It worked again.
This is a pale winged trumpeter, and I'd see these guys on the trails we walked in groups of a dozen or two. They'd be all walking together, pecking at the ground. Ah, the parrots. The red and green macaw. I've lot. We spent hours in canoes and bird lines watching the parrots. Lots of flying pictures. I want to show you one. Once you see these birds flying in their natural habitat, you never want to see them in the cage. They're just press too much. And this is a landing. Landing on that small tree. I thought the aesthetics. Where's the head? That's my question too. It must be down there. Must be looking up down. I can't see the head. Strange, huh? A yellow crowned parrot had a clay lick. Anybody know about clay licks and parrots? Clay licks. The parrots come and eat the clay here, right? And there's a number of hypotheses. The major one is that a lot of the food they eat, nuts, berries, fruits they eat, have toxins in it. The plant is trying to put in so parrots won't eat them or something. So the clay essentially neutralizes the alkaloids in these plants they eat. So that's one reason. Another reason they tend to go to clay licks that have high sodium contents, or clay with more sodium in it, which is nerve development. And finally, they're just big social. We would see hundreds of parrots. Here's the same little mound with blue-headed parrots. This guy here scarfing down a chunk of clay there. I think we've left room.
I think so.
Anybody have any idea where these landforms are? North America, Grand Teton National Park. And now I tell you that, oh yeah, this is a lake called String Lake. And hiked up there, started in around 4:30 in the morning, hiked along there. Really worried about grizzlies. They had a lot of grizzlies on this trail. So we had our bear spray. Set up our tripods in the dark and waited to see what the sunrise would bring us. There was no color that day. I didn't care because they perfect. Couldn't imagine a nicer reflection. Yeah. Also on the Grand Tetons, I got this picture. Longhorn antelopes in the morning. And the light was perfect. The light lighting up on this small ridge, herd of antelope with the mist in the background. I couldn't have asked for a professional lighter to do a better job. But you can guess where this sunrise was taken. And that's natural. We're all kind of up in that area right now. Yeah. And I can't resist taking pictures of prairie dogs. This guy watched a lot of dirt flying out this hole. He finally came up to look at me. He heard me up here. So you're covered in dirt. He went back to more important things. Anyway, very dark. All right. A little farther away from us than Badlands. People have visited here, a state park in South Dakota. Any guesses? Custer State Park. Custer State Park. This is an area called the Needles on the north end of Custer State Park. And great lighting on these. Of course, Custer State Park is known for. We were actually in our car. You can see a little bit of road right here. We were surrounded by a herd of about 50 or 60. Couldn't move the car for quite a while. So, those encounters of the third kind. Devil's Tower, coming at sunset. When we were there, we noticed a little bit of light right there. We're trying to figure out what this was. And I didn't have a telephoto lens with me, so I couldn't tell. It's another person had a pair of binoculars. Thought there was a woman in a wedding dress. They had been, and people behind me were at the were part of the wedding, but they didn't go to the ceremony, which was top. Only the climbers got up to the ceremony. They were rappelling back down. Her dress got stuck, and the groomsmen had to come and free her to continue to roll down. I met another couple of photographers here, and I asked if they were interested in photographing the Milky Way. Right? I was getting my trusty app on my phone. Naomi and I walked all around the tower during the day, so I found the place where I could photograph the Milky Way. Tower. Next picture. And here again, we see the core of the Milky Way just above the horizon. This is in September. That's Jupiter peeking out the other side. Okay, so that was our first night. Second night, so I'm on the north side looking south. The next night, I go to the south side to look north, and I take our trail picture. This is 45 minutes star movement. It's supposed to be an hour, but I kicked my trail. I have another 15 minutes. And you can see that the tower and the trees are lit. That was by some passing cars. Find the light to get there. Anybody have an idea what the North Star might be? Devil's Tower. We'll change the season here. This is we're up in northern Minnesota now, Grand Marais. This is the Grand Marais campground, which was not too crowded. I think only us photographers were the only people there. This was a sunset. Remember, it was minus 15 degrees at the sunset. I spent a half an hour there before I decided to get back in the car. Next morning, however, for the sunrise was worse. It was 25 below, and I actually got frostnip. That's the predecessor frostbite on my nose. I got back to my room, said, "What's this red on my nose?" Didn't feel a thing. So be careful when you're out there. 25 below. You get excited about photography, you forget about it. All right, same location, but slightly different time of year. This is fall. This is just south of Grand Marais, Oberg Mountain, which is wonderful. Don't eat me. Oberg Mountain. Still in northern Minnesota. This is 2021. Naomi and I are supposed to go to Peru in 2021, but COVID kind of interrupted that. Peru had the worst statistics in COVID. They had the highest mortality rate of any country in the world. 5% of the people who had COVID died there. They lost a huge number of doctors and so on. Well, Naomi and I canceled our trip. What are we going to do? This is important. This was our 50th anniversary trip. So we're stuck at home. Where are we going to go for our 50th anniversary without too many people? The Boundary Waters. We've been canoeing together for 42 years, so this is fitting. So we go out, we don't camp anymore.
We're too old to camp.
so we stayed in the cabin, went out for day trip. This is on Iron Lake on the Gunflint Trail. put the canoe out, paddling for a while, see this loon coming in. He's on shore, coming right towards me, right, keep swimming. I said, he's gonna die. Keep taking picture, keep getting closer, closer. Finally, he makes a right angle turn. See that, man? Makes that right angle turn and dives down. I don't know if he's coming out to stop me from going to a nest or something, perhaps. And I thought, wow, that was a great picture. I'm satisfied today. If I don't take any more pictures, I'm good. But this guy showed up. Young bull moose, he was on the shore and we're in the canoe. So he keeps coming closer and closer and closer. He's having his brunch here, just to hear the sound of the sloshing and eating and stuff. And if you look, first I thought, oh, I have dust on my sensor. Those are all deer flies. Nice to meet you. He watched us, we watched him. He finally got tired and went off the other side of the lake. Coming back from our anniversary trip, and we're at J. Cook State Park, where they have showy lady slipper. I think the showy lady slipper is the state flower of Minnesota.
It is, yeah.
And these are tall. This bloom is 3 feet off the ground. They are big. They're endangered. They in the park. I asked where can we find? Oh, over there, it's a big fenced-in area. So I was trying to take pictures of the fence. The photographer comes, well, we go up this trail. So I followed it and I found these guys. Now, all right, I'm going to get techie here. Photographers in here. This is like, it's hard to get all of this in focus. These are big, and I wanted to have the details of the hairs here as well as hairs and the leaves. So what I do is I take multiple pictures. First of all, focus on the bloom that is closest. Focus there. Then I'll move in a couple millimeters, take another picture. Move in a couple more millimeters until I finally am focusing back on the farthest thing back. So maybe I'll have 30 to 50 pictures, each one having a different. It's sort of like a CAT scan. And I put it on the computer and I tell the computer, all right, find the best focus of each one of these pictures. Find it and get this. It's one of my favorite techniques for photographing flowers. Oh, moved from Minnesota to Wisconsin. This is Governor Dodge State Park. Who recognizes this bird? Oh, that's good. And he posed for a good 15 minutes. He would hop off this branch, go up, grab a bug, and come back down. I had to get the one where he hadn't eaten it, but he's really fast at eating it. They were just very good. I was going to ask about this one here. It's a thrush. I guess Swanson's thrush. What is it?
Woodland.
Woodland thrush? Couldn't hear you.
Woodland.
Woodland. Woodland. All right. This is at Wyalusing State Park. Also. And I could never resist. Jack in the pulpits. Yeah. Also in Wyalusing State Park. I heard this guy for the longest time. Seemed to be right above me all the time. Could not see it. Naomi got tired of waiting for me. He said, I'm going back to the car. I waited a little bit longer and finally his head stuck out. Made one loop around the tree and back in. All right, across the river now. We're now in Effigy Mounds National Monument. Early spring. I just saw this unfurling plant. Couldn't resist taking a picture. I have no idea what it is. Here. This is also an effigy mound. Eastern toady, I think. Right. Yeah. Identifying birds apart all these experts. Somebody's doing it. Ooh, we hiked up to the northernmost part of effigy mounds. Hanging Rock, it's called. Go up and up and up. Saw a couple other groups coming back down. So, oh, that's in the eagle. It's in the eagle nest. The eagle nest was about a mile and a half away. So I put my telephoto on, I put on my extender and I put it on my tripod. And the wind is blowing like anything. I only have one set of my legs on the tripod. Still, the lens is shaking. I have my cable released. I wait for the wind to die down, watch the tripod stop taking it, take a picture. Take a picture. Well, I'm half away, but she knows exactly what I'm doing, right? And there, far away. Okay, Backbone State Park. This was an outing of the Hartford Photo Club to photograph mushrooms at Backbone State Park. One of our members found this snail crawling on the bottom of Polly's mushroom. Cool. This was late fall, really late fall, and it was getting close to freezing at night. I always wonder what the snails do in the cold weather. Saw a lot of snail shells from previous. Here's one of my favorites there. It looks like a fairy scene with these mushrooms here. Cobwebs. And I think these guys are screaming like that red one, don't eat me. Don't eat me. And this is in the A.F. Miller Preserve. Anybody know where that is? Just north. It's a really small preserve. All right, I'll stick my head on sandpiper. Can't hear. All right.
Now you know.
Oh, now at Hickory Hills. And the fall and the robins were gorging themselves. A lot of juvenile redwing, cedar waxwings there as well. Boy, this guy has a real handsome set of feathers. Beauty park. Robins are always good. This is also at Hickory Hills. And this is one of those lucky shots, right? You're focusing on the bird on the tree just to the right. Takes off and you happen to catch it right there. This one won the Blackhawk County Conservation Wildlife photograph first place. That luck I could never have planted. Oh, this was on one of my earliest Wednesday morning birding trips. This is Beaver Valley Wetlands. Going back, I should have written it a year ago. Didn't write that down. But the classic system. I remember going out the trail.
Which is the animal
Dixon.
Yeah, that it is Beaver Valley.
Right. I didn't say the year, did I?
No.
And we walked up this nice trail. I remember seeing an owl. Walked out. There's a little pier there. We went out water. Several years after this, I took Naomi there to see this thing. The trail was completely overgrown. Completely overgrown. The pier was all dilapidated. Couldn't go on anymore. And the mosquitoes were really thick. And so I'm going back. I think I got a couple goldfinch pictures. I was going back. I saw this black and yellow garden spider. And so I kind of get my bird lens off, my macro lens on, heel down, take spider's picture. We're photobombed by a grass. Comes in, wants to get it taken. Well, the spider was not going to share that. She is off in an instant. All right, this is about half a second after the grasshopper landed. Here you can see her wrapping up her dinner. You see the silk coming out of her spinnerets there. Wraps and wraps. These little balls on the silk, that's the sticky part. Next one, she's just about all finished. She returned to the center. She had a partial grasshopper there from before, so I think she was pretty full. Just eating this tough luck to find. I didn't mind all the mosquito bites. Where, Bigwoods Lake. So, Greenbelt.
Greenbelt.
Greenbelt. I always wanted that. That tail looks like they dipped yellow paint. It's the wingtips, the red. I love when I get pictures. See the wax. Greenbelt Lake. And if anybody saw the Cedar Falls utility calendar, March last month, featured this location here. That's the one in the CFU calendar. I showed 2 outlets. This is one with 3. I didn't think was quite as artsy as the 2, so that's the one I said. In fact, I'll son here take me out to find these guys. We took Wednesday morning birding, but we didn't see the owl. There's just one.
He has such an attitude.
And then outlet with an attitude. Right. I'm working with a 720 millimeter lens here, so pretty far away. I remember, I think it was on the
Diagonal.
Facebook site, and this is Diagonal Street. I don't know if you call it a marsh or a pond. Last time I was there last year was dry. Anybody remember this bird? Yeah, white-faced ibis. When I got there, this is the first time I've been there, I knew it was at the right place because there were all these photographers standing on the edge there. Hard to find parking. I got there, and it was mostly behind the reeds, and everybody left. I stuck around. Some other birds, little birds, take pictures. It comes out of the reeds, so I get a nice shot. Always good to be patient. Diagonal Marsh. Also, same place. I like the reflection here. Great eagle. He would fly from one end to the other. I'd walk from one end to the other. Establish relationship. And I'm going to guess greater yellow leg. Right? Well, yes. Yeah. Also at diagonal. Oh, some flowers. Flowers. Haven't done much flowers here. Did the show lady slipper. This is at Ulrich Park, Cedar Falls. So we got a May apple just starting to open up. I was like a Cape Crusader here to me, and some cut leaf toothwort. Flowers just starting to open up there. So we'll see some flower pictures. This is a great place to find wildflowers.
Yeah, pretty soon it'll be good.
It'll be pretty soon. Yeah. Almost exactly a year ago. Here. Spring beauties. Violets. The toothwort again, but more open. Ulrich.
Ulrich, describe where it is. It's really close.
You go out First Street past Under Ridge Mall. So you get Union Road, right on Union Road, north on Union Road. First, right after that, there's a little sign that says 40 Park Drive. End of that road, there's a little park.
And there's no real trails. You just sort of go.
A lot of deer paths.
Deer paths. You follow the deer paths.
It's a good place for wildlife.
It is very much.
Breeches. Trout lily. And if you know trout lilies, you know where I was when I took this picture. I'm laying on the ground with my camera on the ground, kind of trying to look up. I've had people stop and ask if I was okay. And taking flower pictures like that. And bluebells. Normally I take bluebells in Kotoski Green, but Ulrich Park has 2 bluebells, but you only need 1 group to get a nice picture. Okay, we're at Bigwoods Lake.
Yeah, it is a song sparrow, yes.
Song sparrow. Little story behind the song sparrow. This photograph won the President's Best of Show Award at the Hawkeye Alumni Art Exhibit. Pretty easy to be an alumni. I took one course in master digital printing, and that I became an alumni.
Yeah.
For that, so I was able to enter. I don't think it was the picture so much that on the best of the show, it was the story that went with it. You had to submit a description of the picture. This was the height of the pandemic, and the name of the show, the theme of the show was The Signal and the Noise. And I had just read in the Audubon magazine about a woman who studied white crown sparrows in the San Francisco area. She studied their songs and had made recordings of them for decades. She noticed during the pandemic that there was no traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge. Said, there's not much noise in San Francisco right now. I wonder if that's changed the birds' behavior. So she went out and re-recorded these birds and found some amazing things. She found that the birds decreased their volume. They lowered the volume that they sang. The consequence of lowering the volume is that they increased the bandwidth. Bandwidth is the range of frequency. So their song had a much greater range of frequency than before. And this was much better to attract females range of frequency, she said. So I told the story, and basically what has happened is improved scientifically, what we say, signal to noise ratios. I think it was the story they got me.
Yeah. It's a nice picture too.
It's a nice. Yeah. Let's see. We get some insects. Butterfly milkweed. This is Bigwood Lake. Here, flower, spiderwort. I always like these guys. You can get all this stuff. It still is the hairs there that are on there. Bluebird here. Watch this pair of bluebirds bringing food to the young. He has a 2-course meal there. I saw once a 3-course meal. 2 worms in a paddock. They're doing 2 in their beak at the same time. Do they catch one? They continue it in their beak while they catch the second one? Or do they stun the first one and go catch the second one, then bring them back? I'm curious to know how they actually get 2 or 3 of these at the same time. No one knows either. That was a conundrum. Always. If you ever find out, let me know. Probably do. And friends, common friends, but this really perched on this flower singing away. Beautiful photography. Great bokeh, the background, out of focus background. And we get they've identified this Google suggested it's called rosin weed. It's pretty. I call it. Hasn't been eaten by the bug. All right, more insects. The best time to get insects. Cold morning. Don't move so that you get a little closer. This grasshopper, I really like. Look at the eye. Love the vertical stripes in that compound eye. Can you see them? Also, a Bigwood's Lake, a little pond off to the side, completely covered with the weed there. Right? And just looking around, see if there's anything that's like, and pretty well camouflaged there. You see the eye really. All right, yeah, we are canoeing on Bigwood's Lake. Early fall. Green hair, and you can see it looks like he's about ready to leave us here. And another fall picture, also from our canoe on Bigwood's Lake, great blue. Okay. Another great blue. You had the CFU calendar from 2021. This was, I think, the October picture. I get a lot of pictures of bird butts, and I usually toss them. But this one here looks pretty good. The symmetry, the feet, and I like you can still see the water falling off the feet that he took off. So that's one of my only successful bird butt pictures. Ooh, now we go to George Whitstable. This is
Yeah, they know,
Fisher
they
Lake.
knew, yeah, they could tell.
Fisher Lake. I was there to photograph. I was told there was a affiliated woodpecker's nest near the road. I got out there early in the morning, hoping I could see affiliated woodpecker, and I kept waiting. And the sun started coming up. And I looked around and I said, "Well, I'm taking the bird lens off, get the wide angle out. Time to do a sunrise." After this, went back to look at the woodpecker nest. Still nothing. Finally, a red belly comes up, sticks its head in, looks around, and flies away. I said, "I guess there's no affiliated." And I promised reptiles. This is also a Fisher Lake. George with also. This is, I don't know what time of year this was. Obviously cold.
I think there's a little bit of snow, so I think
Yeah,
it's maybe early spring, maybe.
One of my favorite things about this is not only can you see the detail of the feathers on the face, you see the six-sided crystals. Only people in front can see that. Or you can buy the picture over here. $1. Proceeds. What gray tree frog. This is also at George with canvas spot. Frame print of this that I had in my first photo club show last year. She bought it last time. He posed for a good 4 to 5 minutes. This is at Hartman Reserve. The thing I liked about this in the fall was the golden reflections. A little drop of water. I like the little details. Also. All right, my last two pictures. Astronomical. This was a lunar eclipse on, name me the date.
May 15th, 2022, Black Hawk mitigation.
Right, this is the ticket. Alessandra and I went out there, took a lot of pictures of the moon, and then I would take them and put them on one slide so that you could see the different phases of the eclipse. The final one up there is when we had to expose it for a longer period of time to get the blood moon, which is the color comes from the light that's being refracted into the atmosphere. One more astronomical picture, and if you know the title of my talk, you know where it's at.
You are.
Yeah, this is a sharp group, John.
Yeah. Here's the Milky Way at New Hartford. Let me tell you how I take Milky Way pictures. After I did my first struggles in New Zealand, I've gotten a lot better. But the way you do it now is you take 30 pictures of the Milky Way. You put them on the computer, you combine the 30 pictures. What this does, it gets rid of all the noise. When you're taking low light pictures, you get a lot of noise. This removes the noise. And typically, if something goes through the picture, some other photographer turns their flashlight on, something like that, you can throw out one of those exposures. Instead of 30, I have 29. Well, while I was taking one of these pictures, a grain truck comes through. I said, I can throw that one out. Then I got it on the computer. I said, quintessential Iowa. You got to have a Milky Way with a grain truck. That's Milky Way. And that's my last one, but I will put in a shameless plug for my next talk. Yeah, I'm going to be the speaker at the Hartford Nature Reserve Center on April 23rd. As part of the second Sunday speaker. I'm going to be showing just Peru pictures. So here we got to see some Peruvian animals and a couple of landscapes. I'm going to deal with more culture here. A lot of archaeological sites showing in Peru. You'll probably see some of the same birds again. Hopefully they come to that. So with that, Well, and.
Good job.
Yeah. And don't forget to check out the pictures. Add to the coffers. of Grand Rapids Audubon Society. Go ahead. South. South. It actually goes all the way over it. But the south is where the core is.
So would you be able to pick up the southern cross?
No. Oh, from New Zealand and Peru, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I can see the Southern Cross there.
you wouldn't see it in that.
No, it's not in the Milky Way. Other questions? Comments?
What do you mean by the core? I don't.
Oh, the core.
quite follow that.
Okay. Let me see if I can go back here. All right. All right, so the Milky Way is a spiral galaxy, right? And the center of that is the core. That's where the densest stars are. So the core of the Milky Way is where you have the most concentration of stars. And it is the brightest, so it's right here, the brightest. Stars are more concentrated. So that's the thing we usually try to get a picture of. Good question. Hmm. Oh, this one here
That'd be Black Hawk Creek, wouldn't it?
in New Hartford, yeah.
Thank you.
The question back there?
You were, am I saying it correctly?
I think so. I was corrected. I said Ulrich, then somebody corrected and said Ulrich.
It's ULRICH.
All right, it's all right.
That would be like early spring. It might be late April, May, depending on the warming, as soon as it starts getting warm, start looking around
I'm
there.
sure there's flowers out there now.
Yeah, they probably are. It happens so fast, truly.
So say again, where is Ulrich Park?
All right, you go out, get to Ulrich Park, you go out First Street past Thunder Ridge Mall. Come to Union Road. Turn right on Union Road. Go up to the first street you can turn right on. And you'll see a sign on Union Road, a little tiny sign, that's Ulrich Park with an arrow. You drive to the end of that dirt road, I just paved for a while this year. And there's a little parking. You just go to the end, can't go any farther, you're there.
I think it's considered a park.
It's a city
Yeah,
park.
it's a city.
Park.
That's, well, that's not my question. Where is it from, like, say right here, where is it? Which, you said north,
West.
west?
It's northwest Cedar Falls. You know Thunder Ridge Mall?
No, I don't.
No, First Street.
So it's on the way toward New Hartford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Ulrich Park is out there by, what's the name of that golf course? Is it out there by that?
No, it's not that far.
Beaver Hills.
Beaver Hills,
Before you get.
before Beaver Hills.
You go over the railroad. Street center. Yes. It's the mother. The mother ballroom theaters. It's a train wreck.
Oh, it's a train.
Cars, like,
What do you use for it?
I just like to say, with a nighttime.
So